dream it all. Listen close and join my song. Gentle stories all night long. Snuggle in and rest your head. Magic dreams will now be spread. Close your eyes, so calm and bright. Now begins our dream. Now begins our dream.
Lulu and the Singing Stones. Once upon a time, on the magical dreamland meadow where countless stars twinkled like diamonds in the velvet sky, there lived a little sheep named Lulu. Lulu had the softest, fluffiest white wool that seemed to glow gently in the starlight, and her eyes sparkled with curiosity about the endless wonders of her home. The dreamland meadow stretched as far as the eye could see, filled with rolling hills covered in the most beautiful grass that shimmered silver in the moonlight. Every blade seemed to dance softly in the warm evening breeze, creating a gentle whispering sound that was like nature's own lullaby. Tonight, as Lulu was settling down for her evening rest beneath her favorite constellation, a group of 7 stars that formed the shape of a flower, she heard something quite unusual. It was a soft, melodious humming that seemed to come from somewhere beyond the hill where the purple wildflowers grew. How curious, thought Lulu, her ears perking up with interest. I've never heard such a beautiful sound before. Being the naturally curious little sheep that she was, Lulu decided to investigate. She stood up, shook the stardust from her wool, and began to follow the enchanting melody. Her hooves made soft padding sounds on the cool grass as she walked through the meadow, past the babbling brook that reflected the stars like liquid silver. As she climbed the gentle slope of Wildflower Hill, the humming grew stronger and more beautiful. It wasn't just one voice, it sounded like an entire choir singing in perfect harmony, but unlike any voices Lulu had ever heard before. When she reached the top of the hill, Lulu gasped in wonder. There, in a small clearing surrounded by the most magnificent purple flowers she'd ever seen, sat a creature unlike any she had met before. It was a young pangolin with scales that caught the starlight and reflected it in the most beautiful rainbow colors. The pangolin was sitting very still, with his eyes closed, and around him in a perfect circle were 12 smooth, round stones. But these weren't ordinary stones, each one was glowing with a soft, warm light, and they were the source of the beautiful humming melody. "Oh my," whispered Lulu softly, not wanting to interrupt this magical scene. The pangolin's eyes opened gently, and he smiled warmly at Lulu. "Hello there, little sheep. I'm sorry if my practice disturbed you. I'm Melody, and these are my singing stones." "Disturbed me? Oh no, not at all," exclaimed Lulu, stepping closer with wonder in her eyes. "It's the most beautiful sound I've ever heard. I'm Lulu, and I live here on the Dreamland Meadow, but I've never seen you before, or heard of singing stones." Melody chuckled softly, a sound like gentle wind chimes. "I'm a traveling musician. You see, I journey from meadow to meadow, from forest to forest, bringing music to places that need it. These stones are very special. They were given to me by the star composers themselves." High up in the sky, Lulu's eyes grew wide with amazement. "The star composers? Are they real?" "Very real indeed," nodded Melody. "They create all the music of the night, the whisper of the wind, the bubbling of brooks, the soft rustling of leaves, and sometimes, when they find someone who truly loves music, they share their magical instruments." Melody gestured to the glowing stones around him. Each stone sings a different note, and when I arrange them in different patterns and touch them gently, they create the most wonderful melodies. But lately, I've been having trouble with them. What kind of trouble? Asked Lulu, settling down on the soft grass beside her new friend. Melody sighed softly. Well, you see, the stones used to sing beautifully together, creating perfect harmonies. But over the past few days, they've been singing out of tune. I think they're missing something important, but I can't figure out what it is. As if to demonstrate, Melody gently touched 3 of the stones in sequence. Instead of the beautiful harmony Lulu had heard before, the stones produced a sound that was still pretty, but somehow incomplete, like a puzzle missing its most important piece. Said Lulu thoughtfully, her curious nature taking over. Maybe they need something they don't have. What makes music most beautiful? Melody pondered this question. Well, good rhythm, nice melodies, perfect timing. But what about feelings? Suggested Lulu. When I'm happiest, I make the most joyful bleeding sounds. When I'm peaceful, my breathing makes soft, gentle sounds. Maybe your stones need to feel something special? Melody's eyes lit up with interest. You know, you might be onto something. Lulu, the star composers told me that the stones would sing their best when they were truly content. But I've been so worried about getting the music perfect that maybe I forgot about helping them feel happy. Maybe we could try doing something fun with them? Suggested Lulu excitedly. I know lots of wonderful places here on the Dreamland Meadow that might make them happy. And so began a delightful adventure. Melody carefully gathered his 12 singing stones into a soft, silver bag that had been woven from moonbeams and stardust, another gift from the star composers. Lulu led the way as they set off across the meadow, exploring all her favorite magical spots. Their first stop was the Dancing Grass Valley, where the grass grew so tall and moved so gracefully in the breeze that it looked like green waves on an ocean. Melody set out his stones in a circle and tried to play a melody, but the stones seemed more interested in swaying with the grass than in singing. They produced soft whooshing sounds instead of their usual clear notes. They like it here, laughed Melody, but I think they want to dance more than sing. Next, they visited the Giggling Springs, where the water bubbled up from underground in such a funny way that it sounded like laughter. When Melody placed his stones near the springs, they began to make little chuckling sounds, harmonizing with the water's giggles. This is fun, said Lulu, but they're being silly instead of musical. They tried the echo caves, where every sound bounced back 3 times, but the stones got confused by their own echoes. They visited the tickling trees, whose leaves brushed against anything that passed by, but the stones just made squeaking sounds from being tickled. As the night grew deeper and more stars appeared in the sky, Lulu and Melody sat down on Stargazing Hill to rest and think. I'm grateful for all these wonderful places you've shown me, Lulu, said Melody. My stones have had so much fun, but they still aren't singing properly. I'm starting to wonder if I'll ever be able to create beautiful music again. Lulu looked at her new friend's sad expression and felt her heart fill with compassion. Don't give up, Melody. Sometimes the best solutions come when we least expect them. Just then, Lulu had an idea. You know what? Instead of trying to find the perfect place for your stones to sing, why don't we just sit here together and enjoy the night? Sometimes when I stop trying so hard to find adventures, the most wonderful things happen naturally. Melody smiled at this wise suggestion. They both lay back on the soft grass, looking up at the incredible star-filled sky above them. The Dreamland Meadow was especially beautiful at this time of night, with silver moonbeams painting everything in a magical glow. As they relaxed together, something wonderful began to happen. The singing stones, which had been sitting quietly in their bag, began to glow more brightly. Slowly, gently, they began to float out of the bag on their own. arranging themselves in a perfect circle around Lulu and Melody. "Look," whispered Lulu in amazement. The stones began to sing, not the forced, out-of-tune sounds from before, but the most beautiful, harmonious melody either of them had ever heard. It was a song that captured the peace of the starry night, the warmth of new friendship, and the contentment that comes from simply being present in a beautiful moment. "They're singing perfectly," exclaimed Melody softly, "but I'm not even touching them." "Maybe," said Lulu thoughtfully, "they don't need to be controlled or directed. Maybe they just needed to feel the happiness and peace that comes from friendship and sharing a beautiful moment together." As if to confirm Lulu's words, the stone's melody grew even more beautiful, incorporating the gentle sounds of the meadow around them, the soft whisper of the grass, the distant bubbling of the brook, and even the quiet, contented breathing of the two friends. "The star composers were right," said Melody with wonder in his voice. "The stones sing their best when they're truly content, and they're most content when they're part of something bigger than just a performance, when they're part of friendship and joy and peace." The two friends lay there for what felt like hours, listening to the stones' magical concert under the stars. The melody was so beautiful and soothing that other creatures of the night began to gather quietly around them, gentle moths with wings like silver tissue paper, field mice with eyes like tiny stars, and even a family of rabbits who had been out for their evening hop. None of the creatures made a sound, but their peaceful presence added to the magic of the moment. It was as if the entire Dreamland meadow had become one big, harmonious family, all united by the beautiful music of the singing stones. As the melody continued, Lulu felt her eyelids growing heavy. The combination of the peaceful music, the soft grass beneath her, and the warmth of newfound friendship was making her delightfully sleepy. "Melody," she said softly, "this has been the most wonderful adventure. Thank you for sharing your music with me, and for letting me help you discover what your stones really needed." "Thank you, dear Lulu," replied Melody warmly. "You've taught me something very important tonight. Music isn't just about perfect notes and proper techniques, it's about connection and feeling and sharing beautiful moments with friends." The singing stones seemed to respond to their words, their melody becoming even more gentle and lullaby-like. It was the perfect music for the end of a perfect adventure. "I think it's time for me to continue my journey," said Melody gently. "There are other meadows and forests where my stones and I can share this music, but I'll never forget the lesson you taught me here. And I'll always remember my friend Lulu from the Dreamland Meadow." "Will I see you again?" asked Lulu. Though she wasn't sad, she felt full of joy from their wonderful friendship. "Perhaps," smiled Melody. "The traveling life is full of surprises, but even if our paths don't cross again, you'll always be part of the music my stones and I create. Every time they sing, they'll remember this perfect night and the wise little sheep who helped them find their true voice." As Melody gathered his singing stones, they continued their gentle melody, but now it was a farewell song, sweet and slightly melancholy, but full of gratitude and hope. The other creatures of the meadow began to quietly disperse, each carrying the memory of the beautiful music with them. Melody slung his moonbeam bag over his shoulder and gave Lulu a warm hug. "Thank you for everything, my dear friend. Thank you for the most magical evening I've ever had," replied Lulu. "Travel safely, and may your music bring joy wherever you go." With a final wave, Melody set off across the meadow, following a path of silver starlight that seemed to appear just for him. As he walked, his stones continued their gentle song, and the melody gradually faded into the distance until it became part of the night sounds of the meadow itself. Lulu stood there for a moment, watching until she could no longer see Melody's figure in the starlight. She felt a warm glow in her heart, the special feeling that comes from making a new friend and helping someone in need. Slowly, contentedly, She began to make her way back across the familiar paths of the dreamland meadow toward her favorite sleeping spot beneath the flower-shaped constellation. The grass felt softer under her hooves. The stars seemed to twinkle more brightly, and the gentle breeze carried what she could have sworn was a faint echo of the singing stone's beautiful melody. As she settled down in her cozy spot, Lulu looked up at the 7 stars that formed her favorite constellation. Tonight they seemed to shine with special warmth, as if they too had enjoyed the magical concert. What a wonderful adventure, she thought to herself. I helped Melody discover that his stones sang best when they felt the contentment that comes from friendship and peaceful moments. And I learned that sometimes the most beautiful things happen when we stop trying so hard and simply enjoy being present with our friends. The soft grass made a perfect bed, and the gentle night breeze was like a natural blanket. As Lulu closed her eyes, she could still hear the faintest whisper of the singing stone's melody in the wind, reminding her of the magical friendship she had made and the beautiful music they had shared. With a contented sigh, Lulu drifted off to sleep, her dreams filled with glowing stones, harmonious melodies, and the warm feeling of having helped a friend find exactly what he needed. And somewhere in the distance, carried on the night wind, the singing stones continued their gentle lullaby, sharing the peace and contentment they had found on the dreamland meadow with all the sleeping creatures of the world. The stars twinkled down on the peaceful meadow, the brook babbled its quiet song, and all was well in Lulu's magical home. Tomorrow would bring new adventures, but tonight was perfect just as it was, full of friendship, music, and the simple joy of a kind heart that loves to help others. And so Lulu slept peacefully on the dreamland meadow, surrounded by the gentle sounds of night and the lingering magic of singing stones, ready to dream the sweetest dreams until morning came to wake her with its golden light.
Now it's quiet, night is near. Drift away through stars so clear. Lulu whispers soft and bright. Sleep so well and good night. Sweetest dreams will softly flow. Lulu stays with you, you know, till we meet again, my dear. Let your dreams keep drawing near. Till we meet again, my dear. Let your dreams keep drawing